I'm Scott Harrison. I'm the founder and CEO here at Charity Water in New York City. So I moved to the city around 18 and started going to NYU part-time for a couple years at the School of Continuing Education and dabbled in some film classes at Tisch. And then I transferred to College of Arts and Science and got a communications degree. During that time I was actually working in nightlife, so I probably wasn't the perfect student. I was becoming a pretty successful nightclub promoter here in New York, but learning about writing, learning about photography. And I really hadn't done much with the degree until 28 years old. So I graduated, I guess, around 22 and was pursuing a career in nightlife. And then at 28, I had this life epiphany, this moment, realized, oh my gosh, I am the worst person that I know. I'm building a legacy, getting people drunk in nightclubs, from midnight on. And rediscovered a very lost Christian faith as a kid, and that eventually led me to want to serve. But when you are a nightclub promoter trying to volunteer for humanitarian organizations, you're kind of out of luck. I mean, they're serious people, right? You're the guy that gets people drunk. And I had applied to this one organization, showed them my NYU communications degree and said, look, I'm a great photographer, I'm a great writer, I actually have a degree in this. Let me come on your humanitarian mission and tell stories. And by the way, I know 10,000 people from a decade of nightlife that are on my club list. And let me write stories, let me take pictures and communicate your work to them. And I really believe the degree was pivotal in me getting even that volunteer gig, the opportunity to even volunteer and not be paid. Part of the reason why I feel so strongly about the need to be charitable, the need to be generous, has a little bit to do with my personal story, because I spent 10 years not being charitable at all, living completely for myself, living selfishly, living decadently. And then I was given this amazing opportunity at 28 years old to serve the poor in Liberia, West Africa, so right after a civil war had ended. And I saw extreme poverty for the first time, and I learned that you could actually do something about it, that we could use our talents, our gifts, our money to radically impact the lives of others. And I really just wanted to get more people involved in that. I've got two stories from the field. One is an incredibly depressing story, and the other one's an incredibly happy story. I've been to Ethiopia about 17 times. On one of my recent trips, I learned about this woman named Koros, and this story has stuck with me more than anything I've ever heard since starting Charity Water. And she, like many women, had to walk hours every single day. The guy that lived in her village that knew her said she walked 8 hours a day with this huge, heavy clay pot on her back. And the clay pot weighs 10 pounds just empty, so she was walking like 50 or 60 pounds, completely hunched over. And he said it was an 8-hour walk. One day she comes back in the village and she slips and she falls, and the clay pot breaks and all the water spills out. And he said, the thought of going back was too much for her, and she took the rope and she hung herself from a tree in the middle of his village. And he remembered this. And this was actually before Charity Water started. It was about 11 years ago, and he said, the work you guys are doing is really important. And we talk about statistics a lot, and it just hit me, this is not about statistics, this is about people with names. She was 22 years old, she had 2 kids, she had a husband, and she lived without hope, because of where she was born. And she didn't choose to be born 8 hours from the water, in a subsistence farming community where the land was her father's and that land was her grandparents. And it really just kind of helped put a point on the urgency of the work that we're doing here every single day, even when it's hard. That we're fighting for people like that, to give them hope, to give them clean water that is 5 minutes from the house. Much happier story, woman named Helen Appio, who did get clean water in a village in Uganda. And our team was visiting with her and said, Helen, how's your life different now? And she said, well, before she used to take about 10 gallons of water in these 2 yellow kind of fuel cans, the jerry can, it's called. And she would walk. She was actually getting clean water, but it was far, and then she would have to wait at the water point. So she said, I never had enough water, and I would make choices every single day. Do I cook? Do I clean? Do I wash? Do I wash my kids' school uniforms? Do I wash my husband's clothes? There was never enough water. And she said, now that there is enough water in my village, that the pump is in my village, she said, now I feel beautiful. And our team didn't really get it. It took Becky, our water program director, a second. She said, well, of course you're beautiful. You're a beautiful woman. And she said, no, you don't understand. Now I feel beautiful because I have enough water for my face and my clothes. And, we realized this is a woman who had been putting her family first, making sacrifices because of the quantity of water. And just by tripling the quantity of water, she now had enough for her personal hygiene and to wash her clothes and to feel beautiful as a woman and a wife and a mother. And we just thought that was something that the statistics didn't convey. The statistics about disease and water, couldn't convey dignity and beauty. I'm really excited about the September campaign we just launched for Orissa, India. So every September we kind of take the whole organization, we focus in on one region, one partner, and just tell a great story. This year we're focused on Orissa, India, and this amazing hero, a guy named Joe Madiath, who started his organization 36 years ago when he saw his grandfather feeding the untouchables from a hole in the ground. And Joe, as a young kid, says to his grandfather, why would you feed humans like you would feed dogs? And his grandfather said, well, because they're no better than dogs. And something in Joe just changed forever. And his sense of justice kicked in. And he spent 36 years fighting for the untouchables of India, the Dalits, the castaways, to have equality through clean water and sanitation. So he goes into a village and he builds showers, he builds latrines, he makes sure that every single person in the village, regardless of their caste or position in society, has clean water. So that campaign is to raise $2 million for 100 villages to get completely hooked up with water and sanitation and proper hygiene. And we're about halfway to our goal, so I'm really excited about his work there. One other simple way people can get involved is just to pledge their birthday and go through that experience. That's just charitywater.org/birthdays. You put in your email and your date of birth, and even if it's 10 months from now, we remind you a month before your birthday, and we give you a few easy steps to reach out to your friends and your family. And it's an idea that just works. The average person that gives up their birthday raises $1,000 from 13 people. And people love the idea. I could get you an Amazon gift card or an iTunes gift card, but you can buy anything you want on iTunes. And the idea of making a donation in your honor where people get clean water, and then we're both able to see that impact, we found is just, it's really started to spread.